Alright, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast, BBOR, Black Box Online Radio. Alright, everybody, so today we are going to be talking a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard and her possibility of becoming the next president of the United States. We did one previous upload on the candidacy of Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of combined. Well, I was about to finish that sentence. I'm not gonna lie, I got some dislikes on it because we wanted to talk about two different things. We wanted to talk about Tulsi Gabbard, about her political platform, and the possibility that, is she working with hate groups? Because that's what she's been, kind of criticized for the most recently. And the reason I decided to do this upload right here and now is because somebody was posting on Facebook that she had been, they said that they would never vote for Tulsi Gabbard because she was anti-LGBTQ. And I was like, I've been following her for a couple of years, and like, I can tell you, you can even see on her website yourself, it says very clearly that she is pro-LGBTQ rights. But like, of course, not everything stays the same with politicians. So before we get into the possibilities of 2020, let's talk a little bit about these kind of rumors, allegations, and things that have been going on with Tulsi Gabbard and hate groups and sort of an anti-gay agenda. Well, a lot of the things associated with the anti-gay agenda revolve around her father. And Tulsi Gabbard's father actually hosted a radio show in Hawaii, which was designed, as sort of like an anti-homosexuality radio show. And they brought up some comments that Tulsi Gabbard had made in the year 2000 about how she was, like anti-gay marriage and stuff like that, and just anti-gay rights in general. But bear in mind, 2000. The first thing I need to say about that is Tulsi Gabbard is only 37 years old. When she would have said that, she would have been 17 or 18 at the time. And, like, when it comes to becoming president at age 37, that's a big challenge. I mean, like, I don't know. We've never had a president that young, not to mention the first female president, not to mention the first multiracial person born in American Samoa as a president. I mean, she would be crushing milestones. The first Hindu president as well. But the point is about the year 2000, if she's 17 or 18 years old, I mean, she's condemned her previous statements, and how genuine is that? Only she knows. But we have to really recognize that Barack Obama was opposed to gay marriage for a time, and, he flipped his position and the Democratic Party forgave him. Hillary Clinton was opposed to gay marriage for a very long time, and she flipped her position and the Democrats forgave her. They even did a sketch about that on SNL where that's like Kate McKinnon and Hillary Clinton are in a bar, and then they're just like, yeah, you should have come out on endorsed gay marriage earlier and something like that. But the point is, when you're 17 years old, I mean, it's not like she was in Congress at that point. I mean, I don't really think that's too much to deal with. It sounds like that there were some things that she said as a teenager that people are not really on good terms with. But let's talk about the present. Let's talk about the here and now. Because when I talked about the kind of meetings with hate groups that she had been accused of when I put up that upload a couple months ago, well, I was talking about her meeting with the BJP, which is a far-right group in India. It's actually a far-right political party, one of the largest political parties in India, and it is the party of none other than Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister. And I was like, well, what else could that be other than a gesture of, trying to build relations with India? Our now, I guess you'd say that our Secretary of Defense, who is in the process of resignation, James Mattis, said one of the sort of, hard pills to swallow. It's just like, sometimes the president has to work with less than desirable individuals. I mean, it's like, when it comes to the sort of political game, we need to recognize that just because things aren't sunshine and rainbows all the time, it doesn't mean that we cannot work with someone. Or if you want to look at it in a different way, sometimes you have to work with people whose platforms you're even opposed to. But I mean, obviously, like, I just sort of interpreted her meeting with the BJP as just a way to promote U.S.-Indian relations. I mean, like, but that's actually just sort of the tip of the iceberg, because I was reading this article from Caravan Daily, and they were really trying to say that, like, that is the real tip of the iceberg, that she's actually been asked to chair the sort of National Hindu Congress of America. And one of the things about that is it's being sponsored by, let me hopefully I can get this name right, the VHPA, which is a variant of the VHP. What is it? The Vishava Hindu Parishad. I hope I'm remembering that correctly. And that is one of the Hindu supremacy groups in India. Because India has so many religions, right? Like, not only Hinduism, but of course, Islam, Sikhism, Christianity to some extent, and Jainism, and a variety of other things. Very, very multi-religious nation, but they're a Hindu supremacy group, so says this article from Caravan Daily, and it's a very, very strong influence over Indian society, and they've been really exerting their influence as like they're forcing people to either convert or glorify Hinduism in some certain way. But a lot of people are recognizing them as a hate group, but Tulsi Gabbard seems to have relations with them. That I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I think you can tell from my tone of voice that I somewhat like Tulsi Gabbard, but I'm not going to lie. That's disturbing. That's genuinely disturbing. And that is something that I don't think is so easy to ignore. But like what a lot of people were just asking her to do is to disassociate from that particular group, the VHPA slash VHP, and like the Hindu American Congress. They're just like, they would be on better terms with her if she just kind of disassociated from that particular organization. But when it comes to something such as the possibility of her becoming president, I'd say that Tulsi Gabbard is somebody who is kind of well liked in circles. She has a following. She has really generated a lot of kind of enthusiasm from the non-interventionists. We're talking about the foreign policy non-interventionists. Tulsi Gabbard is someone who supports the Assad regime in Syria. She was very anti, the military involvement in Syria. And that's really received a lot of blowback from the Democrats, because many people in the Democratic Party are anti-Assad. When it comes to the possibility of Tulsi Gabbard winning, I think she is someone who could have a lot of potential in the future. I don't dislike her. I think that she does have a big history that's really coming to surface, and a lot of people are trying to kind of get her to draw more attention to that, to either repudiate the statements that she's made in the past, or at the very least, some people just won't forgive her for that stuff. That really just depends on how the media chooses to portray the angles. Like, once again, though, making comments when you're 17 or 18 years old. If everybody heard the things that I said when I was 17 years old, you would just be like, okay, put him in jail right now or something. Teenagers say weird stuff. Teenagers do weird stuff. And that doesn't necessarily resemble who you are at age 37. It's like, so says me anyway, but the stuff about, trying to have relations with Hindu supremacy groups, which that's why they're calling it a hate group by the people who are opposed to Tulsi Gabbard. And another reason why people are opposed to Tulsi Gabbard is because they are thinking that Bernie Sanders is the guy. Bernie has a much larger following, and they just want to be like, Bernie is the progressive that we want to challenge Donald Trump. You have a 37-year-old versus a 77-year-old. It's like, you're going to be dealing with some far ends of the spectrum, but it's just like, I'm not necessarily sure who would win out in that, because Tulsi has her followers and Bernie has his followers. And what I don't see from Tulsi Gabbard, though, is the ability to completely unite the party, because she is quite different than a lot of the other people. She's now much more progressive than she was in the past. We can all agree to that. But when it comes to the possibility of winning the nomination, it's going to be a tough race, because she would be going up against Bernie Sanders, possibly Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and she has announced her candidacy and that she will be a presidential candidate in 2020. I think she has a lot of potential as a candidate and as a future politician. I think she's somebody who people could really get behind. She does good with the sentimental things, like her message of aloha, as well as trying to restore benefits to people of, the COFA, the Compact of Free Association territories that are now independent nations, like Palau and the Marshall Islands and the Federated States of Micronesia. She's done some good things with that. But a lot of people are throwing mud at her for these comments and things that she did in the past. I would really just leave it up to the voters. If they think it's inexcusable, I wouldn't really hold too much against people for that, because this is a big mountain for her to climb to restore her reputation. But the comments she made at 17 or 18, I'm not too, worried about that. I think those are things to get over easily, which she has completely condemned what she said in the past, and she has admitted that she has changed her position. But the stuff about, like dealing with extremist groups in India, that's something that's going to be a little bit harder for her to shake. But if she can, she may be a viable contender in 2020.